Welcome, yogis. Today's practice is a combination of myofascial release and some longer yin holds. And it's going to be a kind of practice that you can fit in at any time that you need to. You can do the practice as a whole, as a short practice, or you can take each of the different things that we do. And as and when you feel different parts of the body needing attention, you can choose that individual technique and hopefully it will give you some release. So props that we'll need today are 2 balls, a sock, okay, 2 blocks, and you'll want to have your cushion handy nearby. Our focus is going to be on the back line of the body. So we're going to be focusing on calming down our nervous system by stimulating and working with a series of forward folds and myofascial release points along the bladder meridian line on the back of the body here. So working with the kidney meridian line, urinary bladder, and this idea of just coming back to center, the idea of coming back to balance, okay? So we're going to begin by taking our balls and placing them one by one into our sock. And it creates this shape where we've got the 2 balls nice and firmly together and nothing's going to roll away, which makes it much, much easier to play with. So what we're going to do first of all is grab a block and place it on the first height here. And then we're going to take it a little bit in from the edge of the mat and then place the balls and our sock onto the ball, onto the block. Now, some of you will find that that's too high, in which case you'll release the block, but some of us it's going to feel like a nice angle and we won't know until we try. So let's get started then. We're going to lie ourselves down, placing ourselves in a position where the base of the skull is able to comfortably rest onto the 2 top points of the balls. Okay, and if you're not too sure where that is, just bring yourself back up to a seat, take your fingers around to the base of the skull and you'll find those 2 sticky out points there. And then you'll just lie yourself down and the balls are perfectly placed to just sit into that edge there. And I like the angle of the block or the height of the block to really drill down into those areas, but go ahead and play around with taking the block away as well. And then close your eyes. Settle into this place of stillness. I'm just pausing in stillness for a moment, softening the space in between the eyebrows, around the corners of the eyes. And relaxing the tongue away from the roof of the mouth if you happen to find it there. And you might like to rest the hands on the belly, or some of you might take the arms out wide. Some of you will like the legs as if you were in shavasana, and some of you will prefer to have a bend in the knee with the sacrum kind of reaching down a little, maybe even knees resting against each other. And just notice how it feels to be here. Some of you might start to become aware of the breath now. So as you take a breath in, see how it feels to breathe in through the nose. And guiding the breath down into the lungs, so you'll become aware of that gentle rising and falling of the heart space with every breath in and out. And with every breath in that you take, just notice if you can become a little bit more aware of the sense of expansion, both upward and out to the left and right side of your body here. And notice how everything comes back to center as you exhale. And draw your awareness a little bit further down now towards the belly. So drawing the energy in through the nose, guiding it down to the belly, belly softening and expanding, an area we tense and clench and hold on to here. And yet it relaxes as the breath comes in. And then notice again that area at the top, the chest, the heart, the lungs, expanding here also. And continue to be aware of the breath and just explore how it feels now. Some of you might start to gently nod your head up and down. A little massaging of the balls against the base of the skull here. You'll want to keep the jaw nice and relaxed as you do this. Some of you might even just turn the head a little to left and right, just subtle, subtle movements. And some of us are going to just stay still, or maybe even look up and come to stillness, or look down and come to stillness. Remember, this practice is designed for you to better understand what it is that your body needs. And the knowledge that what your body needs from day to day, from moment to moment, will differ according to everything else that's going on in your world. Never to be compared to anybody else except yourself. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And when the 3rd breath is complete, we're just going to pause for a moment, lift the head enough to release the balls and the blocks to the side. And just return the head to the ground and just take a moment to pause there. And some of you might notice some heat or some warmth, or maybe even coolness or tingling here. We're going to continue our journey down the back of the spine here. So taking a look to the screen, if you're not sure what I mean, I'm going to take the balls now just down to the top of the trapezius area here, and getting into this juicy area that often is a little tender for a lot of us. So I'm going to keep my block nearby, and I'm just going to lie myself back down. I'm keeping the balls in the sock here, and I'm just going to place the balls a little wider apart from each other, but still in the sock. And then to add a little flavor, a little more substance to this for my body, I'm going to place the blocks underneath my hips, which just pushes the center of gravity down onto my shoulder area here. And then you've got the choice to keep the hands onto the belly or out alongside the body, or I quite like to just alternate this feeling of kind of hugging yourself and then taking the arms out wide here, going back and forth with that movement, or even just taking the arms up and down as if I was swimming. And just noticing how that feels for you. We just want to start to get into those areas that can get a little congested in the upper back. When we're under pressure in our everyday lives, we can have a habit of the shoulders creeping up towards the ears from time to time. And when these shoulders are creeping up towards the ears, the muscles that support the shoulders in that movement are chronically switched on, which means there's no rest, and the fascia and tissue gets really congested in this area. It can lead to migraines, it can lead to discomfort around the jaw, feeling of pulling in the lower back, as we remember that this web of fascia is connected. So when something is congested in one area, it's inevitably overextended amounts of time going to pull on other areas of the body. Just notice how that feels for you here. Some of you might move the balls a little up or down, or take them a little further away from center. And some of you might continue with that movement of the arms, just exploring as time goes by here. Let's take another 3 breaths, just as we are. And when the third breath is finished, I'm just going to slowly reach for the balls, release those, releasing the block if you had one underneath your hips. And again, just pausing for a moment here in stillness. And just notice how it feels in those areas around the neck, around the jaw, the upper back. Let's continue our journey downwards. So we're going to move a little further down now to the center of the trapezius here. So in between the shoulder blades and into the base. Now I'm going to continue to keep the balls together. So if you move them away from each other, bring them back together. We're just going to pop them into this area here. So let me lie down first of all. There's a couple of options. So you're going to take it down to about where the base of your bra line is for ladies, base of the shoulder blades for ladies and gentlemen. And you've got the option of just lying down over those balls, which sometimes when I haven't done this for a while actually feels like enough. You can feel the gentle jutting of the ribs here upward, and you can do the same motions as we did just before with the arms here. Okay, and the other thing that you can do is come up to your forearms to lighten that, but I feel like it's really a nice idea to go a little deeper into this one here. So go ahead and settle into that shape, and I like to take my feet nice and wide, resting my knees together here as well. It tends to put a little more pressure into my back. And this is targeting the fascia in between the shoulder blades, and this muscle is responsible for moving the shoulder blades closer together, opening up the chest, enabling us to breathe really more easily. It can be an area that gets tight from rounded shoulders and sitting down a lot. And by compressing into this area, we're just allowing a little more ease and a little more fluidity in terms of circulation of the blood here and hydration of the tissues. Notice how it feels. This is one of those positions that feels really challenging to begin with, but the sense of release is fairly quick. And drawing your awareness to the breath and the depth and length of the breath here. And taking another 2 slow, relaxed inhales and exhales just where we are. And when those 2 breaths are finished, just bringing yourself up in such a way that you can release the balls and just come to lie down on your back here. And pausing for a moment in between each of the things that we're doing with the props to notice how things feel in between the action. That reminder to tune in to every little thing that we take part in our lives. Noticing the detail, noticing the consequences, the things that we're doing. And let's continue our journey down the spine now. So we're going to move down to this area of the lower back. So coming to this area just above the SI joint here. And again, I'm going to work with my ball and I'm going to be rolling and massaging up and down the length of my lower back here. So I'm going to come back to that position with my knees bent. And I'm going to come onto my forearms, and this time I'm going to lift my bottom from the ground. And I'm just going to slowly roll myself back and forth along the balls here. And you can go as high up the back as you want or as low as you want. You can stay down towards the pelvic area if you feel like that's where your body's calling you. You can also kind of zigzag from side to side, although I prefer to just go up and down with the balls like this. And you can pause in stillness. You can lie on the balls, or you can continue to roll back and forth here. And just close your eyes. Let the jaw and the neck be nice and relaxed here. And the balls will gradually move away from each other here. And you might need to just invite them to come back a little closer, and it might feel good that they move away from each other here as well. Notice where the spots are that feel a little tender, and rather than moving away from those spots, just come on back to visit them. Notice if you can release any of those trigger points where things are getting a little congested. Remember that anywhere we have congestion just leads to this kind of inability for energy to flow through to other organs. Let the breath stay nice and relaxed. The jaw, the neck, those muscles of the face at ease. The tongue is relaxed away from the roof of the mouth. 3 more breaths here. And when the 3rd breath is finished, just releasing the balls once again. Coming to lie down on your back. And just pausing. Noticing anything that there is to notice here. When you finish the breath that you're working with here, just slowly begin to roll yourself over to the left side of your body here, guiding yourself up slowly to a seat. And from this point, we want to just remove the balls from our sock temporarily. And we're going to place 1 ball under the back of each of our legs, kind of towards the fleshy center part of our thighs. We're getting into the hamstrings here. And the legs are going to be nice and relaxed. And I want you to just kind of have things within reach. So you'll want to have your bolsters. You'll want to have your blocks. And we're going to sit tall. And this might be enough sensation for some of you, but some of you might want a little more. So if you want to, you're going to just lazily curl your way forward and just notice what support you need. So it might be that you are going to set your cushions on top of your blocks, either side of the legs, and just rest your head into them. And you want to let the legs be completely heavy and relaxed into the balls here. And some of you might just take a cushion to the side to rest your head into here. And some of you are going to be fine just resting arms into your blocks. So go ahead and just set yourself up in a position where as you lean forward, there's some degree of sensation of the balls pushing into the back of your legs here. And just notice how it feels between the left and right side of the body here. Remembering that when we move with slow precision like this, we get to really intricately know where there's a sense of balance or imbalance in our body. We're going to make a little change when you finish the next breath that you're on. So you're just going to lift yourself up and move the ball a little bit further down now. And again, there's that sense of needing to change things. So as you move the ball, just notice if you need the same support. So you'll sit tall and then you'll just lazily curl your way forward. And notice if you need your support in the same way here or not. And closing your eyes once you've found the position that feels good for you. Some of you might feel that as the fascia starts to release, there's more opportunity to go deeper. So go ahead and just adjust as you need to. And slowing down the breath, finding this feeling of comfort in amongst any sensations that you might experience. Three more breaths in. When that third breath is finished, just rolling yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae here. And go ahead and just release the balls. And I want you to bring the balls back into the sock now. We're going to continue our journey down the back of the body. So now working into that calf area here. And what I like to do is bring a couple of the blocks side by side here and rest the balls or the leg onto the balls here. And my other leg is going to be bent. And what I'm going to do is just bring my hands here and I'm just going to roll, lifting my bottom back and forth along the belly of the calf here. Now, if you're someone who is a runner, this will feel a little juicy, so just bear with it. And just notice how that feels for you. Some of you might be happy to stay up on your hands, and some of you might prefer to come down onto forearms, and some of you might just sit the bottom on the ground here, resting the leg onto the ball, and then just moving yourself further down the leg as your muscles require. Now, if you do choose to be still, play around with pointing the toes towards you and away, just as a way to get a little extra sensation happening here. You can take the leg into internal and external rotation here as well. So lots of different ways in which you can play with this. And just notice what's happening in the rest of the body here. So it might be that you start to feel the shoulders creep up towards the ears or the tongue creeping into the roof of the mouth. It might be that you start to clench the eyes or the forehead or the hands or even holding and gripping the belly. Just notice what those habits are, because chances are if you're doing them on the yoga mat, they appear in your day-to-day life at different moments as well. Now, another thing that you could do if you're sitting static is just rest the other leg on top. And that can be sufficient weight to get into the fascia here. And what we're looking for are these little tight knots or trigger points, as we call them, of fascia. And as we feel them release, we're moving to a new area. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side here. Okay, now just slowly pause, release, and let's move the blocks to the second side. And we're going to go straight into that second leg here. So just taking your time to place the balls where you want them to be. And just rolling back and forth to begin with, just to get an idea of where you need to be feeling this. And you might begin to notice that it feels different or similar in terms of sensation or location of sensation to the other side. And again, the first time that you practice this, it can feel a little intimidating, a little full on. Not so relaxing perhaps, but as we let this be a continued practice, we find ourselves freeing up these spots of tension so that the practice becomes a little more relaxing with time. So make sure that you use this video more than just once. Let it be a regular part of the practice. And check in as you close your eyes. Where can I soften? Where can I relax? Play around with the different ways in which you can support yourself, knowing that not one is better than the other. Changing things up as you need it. I'm going to take 3 more breaths on this side. And when that third breath is complete, let's just slowly begin to lift and release. So let's take the props to the side. We're going to leave the balls alone for a moment and come into a longer hold. So half shoelace is where we're heading. We're going to take our left leg and we're going to bend the knee. Place the foot to the outside of the right hip here, and the knee is somewhere along the leg, and it might even be that you take the shin to rest across instead here. And this is a continuation of getting into the whole of the back line of the body now. So we're going to sit tall on our in-breath, have our props nearby, and as we exhale, just very slowly and lazily curl our way forward over the legs and just notice what support we need, what gaps there are to fill. And then use our props to support ourselves here. Okay, so we'll try to let the shoulders relax away from the ears. Props can be in closer to the body to support us a little higher away from the ground or further down the leg to take us deeper. And some of you may find that you surprise yourself with the space that you have in this particular shape from the work that we've done here. Settle into your version of the shape so that you can arrive into a place of stillness, allowing the muscles of the body to relax so that we can access those deeper layers of fascia here. And those of you who are a little further forward into your shape and your head is connecting with the cushion, you can take one of your balls out of your sock. And you can place it to the center of your forehead or just in between the eyebrows here, a really nice acupressure point for continuing this idea of stimulating where the urinary bladder meridian line starts here in terms of Chinese medicine. And just resting your head against that point of the ball, stimulating that acupressure point. And the arms are relaxed, the fingers are relaxed. It's thought to be an acupressure point that just allows us to calm down and balance out our energy. Notice how you feel as the minutes pass by. Surrendering into this place of stillness. Some of you might feel like you can make adjustments to your shape, so go ahead and move the props as you need to here. Three more breaths on this first side. And the third breath is complete, just slowly rolling yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae. Just moving the props to the side, helping the leg to release. And let's just place our feet to the ground, just slowly windshield wiping those knees from side to side here. And we'll get ready to work into the second side when you're ready. So left leg relaxing down here, right knee drawing into the chest, and just slowly taking that foot to the outside of the left hip here. Balls to the side, props nearby, and we'll sit tall to begin with. And then just lazily begin that journey forward without any expectation of it being the same as the first side. Filling the gaps as we find ourselves needing to. And again, just curling forward lazily and effortlessly into that shape. Noticing what support your body needs here. And feeling free to place a ball in the center of the forehead if you want to work with that acupressure point once again. And know that when we come to work with these lines of energy in the body, not only are we creating this sense of ease in the physical tissues of the body, the spaciousness and freedom in the body for movement, but also this ability for the muscles and the nerves to glide more easily over each other on the inside. For there to be a more hydrated layer of tissue. And for there to be an efficient way of the organs functioning. Spaciousness for them to have the capacity to do what it is that they're supposed to be doing. Without this tightness of fascia getting in their way. When we practice these movements regularly, we start to find that it becomes a little easier. And we start to see it become more of a preventative practice as opposed to one where we're constantly moving knots and tightness out of our body. Our circulation improves. Flexibility and mobility increases as we need it to. And our nervous system starts to recognize that we are in a safer space, a more balanced energy. Making any adjustments to the shape that you think you might need to for these final moments. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is complete for you, just rolling yourself up nice and slowly. And just taking the props to the side here. Unwinding your legs, feet resting to the ground, and just slowly, slowly windshield wiping the legs from side to side. And this feeling of calmness just gently arriving into your mind and your body here. And then let's just bring ourselves a little further down the mat, taking our cushion behind our knees for shavasana now, and making any adjustments to your setup that allows you to feel more relaxed here, so you can let the feet fall freely in either direction. The whole of the back melt down to the ground. Some of you may cover your eyes with a pillow or a blanket over your body. Hands resting on the belly or alongside the body, whatever it is that allows you to find this feeling of ease. And just gradually allowing the weight of the head and the shoulders, the spine, the hips, the arms and the legs to just gently melt down towards the ground. As you take this opportunity to simply just be. And starting to bring just the smallest movements back into the fingers and the toes. Reaching the arms all the way up overhead, inviting full body stretch. Knees drawing into the chest, giving them a hug as you slowly lower yourself over to the left side of your body. And keeping your eyes closed, gently pushing the ground away from you with your hands, lifting yourself up to a comfortable seat. Just taking a moment to pause, noticing how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. Noticing this feeling of calmness, this sense of presence. Seeing if you can carry this with you into the rest of your day, the rest of your week ahead. Knowing that it's always there inside of you to come back to any time that you need it. Let's bring our hands together at heart center. And bowing our head to our hands in gratitude for the practice, in gratitude for our health. Namaste.